Britney Spears.
Oh no!
Green. Your trigger is green balloons.
Basic.
Yellow. Your trigger is the phrase, "Oh yes, I remember." Pink. Your trigger is the Little Mermaid.
Not the Little Mermaid.
I'm sorry. Oh, yes. Do you remember? Yeah.
Oh God.
Ah.
Yes, I've been triggered.
This is what triggered the Winter Soldier in Captain America, right? The Captain America movie.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah,
it's the same
It's
thing.
the same
Oh,
thing,
God.
but it appears to be real and it's out there. Now I don't know how real these videos are. I mean, this could be people LARPing or memeing or whatever, but the connection to those other weird videos is weird. Now I didn't even see this stuff when I found that one of the baby with the different colored syringes, but it makes a lot of sense.
Now it does make sense.
It does
I
all
don't like
connect. It does definitely connect in a weird way.
So we're talking, the grooming, the learned helplessness, normalizing the inappropriate behavior, and it all comes down to this color.
Do you think that they're then collecting IP addresses of the computers that are seeing or logging in the views on these things, and that's how they're going to try to reconnect with things that they're grooming? Because to me, that's why the grooming didn't quite make sense. It was, how do you follow up? Like, how are you keeping tabs on these kids?
What are the power-ups on, who are the higher, there's got to be, if we're going to if this is a conspiracy, there's got to be, a head, somebody starting this. The fact that we've seen videos from different countries with the same stupid Joker mask. Like, I've been
throwing up and filling my pants.
Yeah, that's the Mr. Bean Brown. Your trigger is Mr. Bean. Like, why is it's so many questions. Of course, we don't have the answers for it, but we wanted to present this. And if you have a kid in your life, if you have a daughter, a son, a niece, a nephew, a kid in the neighborhood, if you see people on their tablets, or just tell your friends that have kids or kids in their life, just watch what you're doing on the YouTubes, okay? It's not all
make
good.
sure you don't tell somebody who you think might be a pedophile. Like, don't let them know about this also.
But be
just aware.
Especially if you're a parent, be vigilant. Don't just let your kids just fall down this rabbit hole, because that's what it is. And it's so...
I don't know nothing about it, but I always go on the internet.
No, you should not, baby.
Don't
you should
be on
just.
The internet.
And
I
you know
don't
what
think the internet's meant for kids. Like, it shouldn't be.
But it is. It's there, and tablets and smart TVs are everywhere. And kids don't want to watch fucking TV. They want YouTube. They want their little dramas on YouTube. That's what kids watch nowadays. So just watch it. If you think that they're falling into something like this, man, get them the PBS app, okay? PBS Kids or something, because they're guaranteed. Guaranteed they're not going to be worrying about red, blue, green, yellow, and pink, all right? So let's stay vigilant on this shit, all right, you guys? All right?
I'm vigilant. I'm with you. I'm with you on this one.
All right.
I'm going to slap tablets out of any kid's hands that I see walking down the street.
Now, yes, exactly. No, just... If that's what we have to do to stop this, then we're going to do it. But we are staying vigilant. Now, let's get out of here. Oh, I got to go take a shower now. Jesus.
You better watch your back. That's okay. 'Cause I'm coming for you. That's right.
And now it's time for Unbeliever News. Unbeliever News is a segment where we talk about news going on with the unbelievers. And in this week, both of the news items we're going to talk about actually relate to us in this show. So why don't you guys tell them? Why don't you guys tell the tale here?
All right. I'll take the lead on this one, I guess, for a second here. I think that as far back as I can remember with the Unbelievable podcast, I remember one night where something really funny happened, and it definitely stuck with me. I remember afterwards being like, wow, that's one of the funniest things I've heard on a podcast in a while. And it was from a listener, and it just so happened to be Russ on the Unbelievable podcast a couple years back. And it was a funny moment where Russ called in to a popular show that we're a big fan of, that I'm pretty sure a lot of our listeners are a big fan of. And he talked to the hosts, and I think it's only right to play a little clip for anybody who hasn't heard it, and we can listen back on it and take a little trip down memory lane. What do you guys think?
Oh, yeah.
Let's hear it.
All right. So this this first clip right here goes back to August 29th, to an episode of the Unbelievable podcast called Wild Card Week, episode 176.
Something else happened.
Oh my
topper,
gosh.
the real props getter.
Oh gosh.
Unbeliever Russ, an Unbeliever MVP, and infamous Joshua P. Warren detractor called the phone lines of Coast to Coast AM and got through.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, that's right. And he used the pseudonym, the alias, Brian in Louisiana. That's who he said he was. And I want to let you know,
great.
the state abbreviation for Louisiana is L.A. So it really is Brian in L.A.
Oh my god, it was L.A. Brian. That's so clever.
He's so clever. And here is what happened when he called in.
Back to the phones we go. Brian in Louisiana now. Brian, thank you, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, about that hole.
Can you believe it?
Oh my
He called in and he said, yeah, about that hole.
He's talking about the fucking Mel's hole.
Yes, that's right. They weren't talking about the hole at all. He just called in and said, yeah, about that hole.
Oh, man.
How
I wonder, did they
cool
get it?
is that? No, of course not. Well, the old one wasn't even George Norrie. I think it was Art Bell's when this happened.
Of course not.
Yeah, about that hole.
And he just did it. He just did it again. How incredible is that?
Brian, we've created monsters.
Yes, we have.
In a good way. Monsters, like Monsters
Like Monsters,
Incorporated.
Inc.
Yeah, Monsters, Inc.
Like real monsters. Well, guess what? That clip is not over. Okay, so he calls in. He hits us with the incredible yeah about that hole, and then he continues. Let's listen to what he said to Joshua P. Warren, his nemesis, who's listening on Coast to Coast AM.
Back to the phones we go. Brian in Louisiana now. Brian, thank you, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, about that hole.
The vortex, yeah.
Is this Joshua P. Warren?
It is.
Yeah. Hey, I'm calling about the wishing machine. I'm very happy with it.
Oh, God.
Great. Well, Brian, thank you for calling from Louisiana. How have things been going for you?
Well, I mean, not so great with the flooding, but aside from that,
Right.
you know, I found out from the Poor Man's Paranormal book.
Mm-hmm.
It was a great book. I mean, it really set me on the right path to figuring out a lot of things.
Well, thank you for saying that because, you know, it's funny.
I love how he doesn't ask questions.
I know.
He just says something sarcastically and then waits for Joshua P. Warren to respond.
That's kind of like what those guys are like a lot of the times, those on the radio shows. This call to kind of talk to people.
At this point, they hung up on Russ so
Yeah.
that Joshua P. Warren could answer the question.
All right.
Yeah, so
All right.
that was the first. That was the
Incredible.
first time. And
Okay, I will say, I gotta say that it is really weird hearing that. It's been a few years, and I don't explain when these coast to coast open lines are going on. It's usually a Friday night, and it's usually about 3 or 3:30 in the morning my time. a few Diet Pepsis. And yeah, I sound like that. It's so
you don't
weird
need to
hearing that.
apologize for anything.
Oh, I'm not
You sounded-
apologizing. I just sound so out of it. I can remember that because I was on the phone. I was on hold for that call for like 40 minutes or something. And when you call into Coast to Coast AM, it's really easy to get through. As long as it rings, just let it ring, and the guy will answer, and you're like, he's like, yeah, who's this? I'm like, yeah, it was Brian in L.A. Yeah, and what do you want to talk about? I want to talk about the wishing. Yeah. Okay, hold. And then but the cool thing is, on your phone, they just play the show. So you can just put it on speaker, have it charging, and you can just be listening to Coast on your phone for free until you are somehow thrust into the world of Coast to Coast. And I was, man. So let's hear the next one. Let's hear the next one.
That shit cracks me up so much. So that was the first time that Russ got on Coast to Coast himself. Yes. As Brian from LA, and spoke to not only George Norrie, but also spoke to Joshua P. Warren that time. So that was an epic moment. And later on, a few seconds later in that clip, you get props as well as balls.
And that episode came out actually on my birthday. My birthday's August 30th, and that was like that was a nice little thing.
Yeah, that was great. That was great. So a little while later, about a year later, there was another episode of the Unbelievable podcast, and they featured another clip from Russ. This episode is episode 213, came out on July 7th, 2017, and it's Celebrity UFO Sightings Part 2, President's Edition. And here is another clip of Russ on Coast to Coast.
God.
Okay, well, last night, Joshua P. Warren was on Coast to Coast AM again to promote his latest cockamamie bullshit, and they did open lines, and Unbeliever Russ called in.
Oh my gosh, badass!
Yes, and for the second time in the last year, he got through. He called in as Brian from Louisiana. Which, by the way, Louisiana state abbreviation is L.A., so that does technically mean Brian from L.A., although I believe Russ...
Oh, my God.
I think Russ is from Louisiana. Is that true? Anyway, here is the audio.
Brian.
Here is the audio of Unbeliever Russ calling in to Coast AM with Joshua P. Warren as the guest.
Let's go to Louisiana. Brian's with us, wildcard line. Good morning, Brian.
Hi, George.
Good.
Joshua, how are y'all doing tonight?
Great.
Well, look, I wanted to talk about the fact that you called in, your last appearance, Joshua, was about sigils in casinos. It was a really great episode, but, George, you had a caller. Do you remember Basil from Beaumont?
I do.
You do? Do you remember?
I remember the name. I remember the name. I don't remember what he called in about.
Well, he called in. He said that, anybody can put a stick of 2 walnuts in their pocket and go in a casino, and he kind of compared it to the idea of sigils. Well, I tried it, and it actually works.
Really?
I put a stick and 2 walnuts in my pocket. I went in the casino, and I won about $80, and I usually win nothing.
That's not bad. Try it again, though. See if it works the second time.
Thank you, George. Joshua, you have a great night, my friend.
You got it. Okay. Super.
Well,
my God. That was amazing. Just the venom in Russ's voice when he told Joshua P. Warren to have a great night.
And you, Josh, you have a great night.
You have a great night.
And you have
All right. Yeah, so that was the second time. I had my stuff together a little more that time, but again, they just hang up on me. Yeah. Oh, well, this time, okay. So the first time I was on hold for like 40-something minutes. This time I was on hold for like 5 minutes. I mean, I was just like, I was in for the long haul. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to be here again.
Yeah, you weren't ready.
Just waiting. I'm just be waiting forever, and all of a sudden, I'm just listening. They're like, "All right, Brian in Louisiana." I'm like, "Oh God, that's me." Oh, George. Hey. I was like, I was completely lost to begin. But like, I'm like, my goal is always, get something from the soundboarding. Gotta say something from the soundboard. You did about that hole. Let's go to stick and 2 walnuts because that was on the soundboard at that point.
That was
but
so good.
Rob, keep us up. Why are we playing these?
Okay, so recently, Russ followed up. He followed up his previous appearance on the show and completed the trilogy with this beautiful little gem that we have from